My name is Emily, and this is the story of how I married a man I did not love. I was 24 years old when my father came to my room one cold evening in November and said, "Emily, I need to talk to you." I looked at him. His face was tired, and his hands were shaking. He sat on the edge of my bed and held my hand. "Emily," he said softly, "we are losing the house. The business is not doing well. I cannot pay the bank. If we lose everything, our family will have nowhere to go." My heart broke. My father was a strong man. I had never seen him look so helpless. Then he said something that changed my life. "Mr. Carter has offered help. He will pay all our debts if you marry his son, Daniel." I felt like the world stopped. Marry someone. Marry a man I did not even know. "Father, please," I whispered, "I cannot marry without love." "Emily," he said, his voice shaking, "this is the only way." I cried the whole night. And at sunrise, I said yes. That was the day I decided to marry without love. I met Daniel 1 week later. He entered the room with slow steps. He wore a black coat and had calm, brown eyes. His face looked serious, almost cold. "Nice to meet you," he said without emotion. "Nice to meet you too," I answered, trying to smile. We sat together in silence. I could hear my own heartbeat. After a long moment, Daniel said, "I know you do not want this marriage." I looked at him with surprise. "You don't want it either?" I asked quietly. He gave a small smile, just one corner of his mouth moved. "No, but my father wants it. And your family needs help. Maybe we can try to make it work." His voice was calm. His words were logical. But there was no warmth. I felt like I was talking to a wall. At that moment, I knew one thing. This was not a love story. This was an agreement, a deal, a sacrifice. My wedding day did not feel like a dream. It felt like a cold winter. I wore a white dress, but I felt no joy. I walked slowly down the aisle, but I felt no excitement. People smiled at me, but I felt empty. Daniel stood at the altar, waiting. He looked handsome, but distant. Beautiful, but unreachable. When I reached him, he whispered, "It will be okay." But I did not believe him. The ceremony was short. The priest spoke. We exchanged rings. We said, "I do." And just like that, I became Daniel's wife. Everyone clapped. Everyone smiled. But inside me, something broke. After the wedding, Daniel brought me to his house. It was big, beautiful, full of expensive things, but it felt cold. There were long hallways, large rooms, and tall windows. But there was no laughter, no warmth, no life. Our bedroom had a king-size bed, but Daniel said, "You can take the left side. I will sleep on the right. I don't want you to feel uncomfortable." He was kind, but also distant. Every morning, he left early for work. Every evening, he came home late. We sat at the same dining table, but hardly spoke. "How was your day? Did you eat? Do you need anything?" His voice was polite, too polite, like I was a guest, not a wife. Every night, I slept with tears on my pillow. Did I do the right thing? Will I ever feel love? Will this emptiness ever end? One rainy evening, I came home with wet clothes. I had gone to the market, and the storm started suddenly. I tried to hide my shivering body, but Daniel saw me. His eyes widened in surprise. "Emily, you are soaked." "It's okay," I said. "No, it's not." For the first time, he raised his voice, not in anger, but in worry. He ran to the kitchen, came back with a warm towel, and gently wrapped it around my shoulders. His hands were soft, warm. A strange feeling passed through me. "You'll get sick," he said. "Why didn't you call me?" "I did not want to bother you," I whispered. He looked at me for a long moment. Then he said something I never expected. "You can always bother me." Those words, they were simple, quiet, but they touched something inside my heart. That night, I cried again. But not from sadness. For the first time, something felt different. After that day, Daniel changed. He started coming home earlier. He started asking more questions. He started sitting beside me on the sofa, instead of across the room. Sometimes he brought flowers. Sometimes he made tea for both of us. Sometimes he smiled, genuine, warm. "Emily, I know I'm not good at showing feelings. But I want to try." My heart beat faster. "I want to try too," I said. And just like that, our cold marriage began to warm. Little by little, step by step. We were not lovers yet. But we were no longer strangers. Winter came. One morning, I woke up with a fever. I tried to hide it and get up, but the room began to spin. Suddenly, Daniel's hands caught my shoulders. "Emily, you're burning," he said, panic in his eyes. Before I could reply, he lifted me in his arms. "Daniel, don't talk," he said. "Just rest." He placed me gently on the bed, covered me with blankets, brought medicine, made soup, and sat beside me the whole day. He didn't go to work. He didn't leave my side. When I woke up in the evening, his head was resting on the side of my bed. He had fallen asleep while holding my hand. My heart melted. This man, who once felt so cold, cared for me deeply. Maybe he always had, he just didn't know how to show it. Days passed. I got better. And Daniel stayed gentle. We began having small breakfasts together. We walked in the garden. We talked about books, movies, childhood memories. I told him I loved painting. He told me he loved the ocean. We laughed together for the first time. It felt like music. One evening, as we sat near the fireplace, I felt something warm in my chest. Something soft. Something dangerous. I was falling in love. But I didn't say anything. I was afraid he didn't feel the same. Love without trust can break a heart. So I kept my feelings inside. Everything changed one night. I was in the garden alone, looking at the stars. Daniel came and stood beside me. "Emily," he said softly, "can I tell you something?" I nodded. "I was afraid of getting married," he said. "I didn't believe in love. My parents never loved each other. They only argued. I thought marriage meant pain." He took a deep breath. "But you changed everything." My heart stopped. "I care for you," he continued. "More than I expected. More than I wanted. More than I understand." His voice broke. I think I'm falling in love with you." My eyes filled with tears. I had waited for those words. I had dreamed of those words. I had prayed for those words. "Daniel," I whispered, "I think I love you too." He looked at me with shock, then with relief, then with something shining in his eyes, hope. Slowly, carefully, he held my hand. For the first time, it did not feel like a cold house. It felt like a home. From that night, everything changed. Daniel smiled more. I laughed more. We talked late into the night. We touched each other carefully, gently, lovingly. We were no longer two strangers living in the same house. We were partners. We were friends. We were something more. We were becoming a real husband and wife. One morning, Daniel came to me with a small box. "I know the first ring was part of a deal," he said softly. "This one is for love." Inside the box was a simple silver ring. Beautiful. Perfect. He held my hands. "Emily, I may not be a perfect man. But I promise to love you with everything I have. And I promise to love you for who you are." He placed the ring on my finger. And then, he kissed me. It was gentle, warm, soft, full of love. A real beginning. We became closer. We learned each other's fears, dreams, favorite things. Daniel loved the smell of rain. I loved the sound of piano music. Daniel hated spicy food. I loved it. But our hearts walked the same path now. We visited my father, who smiled with relief every time he saw us together. "You look happy," he always said. And I was. For the first time in my life, I truly was. Because I had married without love, but I had found love after marriage. One evening, we were sitting on the balcony. "Thank you for staying. Even when I didn't know how to love." I kissed his forehead. "Thank you," I said, "for learning how to love me. Real love is not always found. Sometimes, it is built. Slowly. Gently. Patiently. Together." I married without love. But I stayed long enough to let love find me.